Mr. Kanan of the IBA joining in. So it's good to have you on Bazaar this morning. Now, basic simple question. The RBI is saying that per account, you need to be at 50% as the resolution process starts. If the process doesn't work out, you need to go up to 100%. Is this going to substantially increase provisioning requirement on banks in Q1 and Q2?
Whether it will be substantial or not, I'm not too sure. I think the provisions will certainly be higher. It all depends on the individual cases and individual banks. And I'm sure that in many cases the provisions could be sometimes even more than 53%, and in which case the provisions could be also not anything at all in a few accounts. In a few other accounts, the provisions could be even lower at 25, 30% or 40%, in which case the additional provisions need to be made.
Okay. Good morning and thanks for joining in. There's one estimate from a brokerage saying that the additional provisioning burden on the banks could be to the tune of 40,000 crore rupees. So as the head of the Indian Banking Association, would that be a realistic number according to you?
In my opinion, I think it's a bit too far-fetched a number. It will not be as high as that. It could be maybe even less than half of it.
So less than 20,000 crores could be the incremental provisioning?
Around 20,000 crores is what we expect. We don't have any particular figure, but on the basis of a ballpark provisions which we normally make, we think around 18 to 20 or 21,000 crores should be the figure.
Okay. Mr. Kanan, good morning. We were talking to Axis Bank also earlier. Now, the guideline doesn't say whether, it has to be, equally divided among the next 3 or 4 quarters, or it has to be front-loaded or back-loaded. What do you think most banks are likely to do?
And depending on the case, I think they probably would distribute it equally. But wherever banks find that they, in a particular quarter, they're in a position to get some additional profits or room available, they'll probably end up making more provisions in that particular quarter. So it's a call to be taken by the individual banks. The circular says from quarter 2 to quarter 4. So quarter 1 is just over now. So whether any of the banks will take a call for the quarter 1, it's up to them. So though theoretically they said in 3 quarters, they can do it over 4 quarters.
Mr. Kanan, what about the timelines? I mean, a lot of these cases have gone into the NCLT just now. So by when do you start expecting the first round of clarity with respect to the bids coming in and then seeing, if there's a successful deal that can go through? What's the timeline that most bankers have in mind?
You must have noticed that even in the last 6 months, a lot of these accounts, there are a lot of developments which are taking place. But mainly because of certain provisions and certain other issues, the resolution couldn't take place. Now with the NCLT coming to picture, I think the timelines could be easily met. We expect in most of the cases the timelines should be comfortably met and resolutions to be over within 4 to 5 months.
Okay. Just one final question. At what stage of the filing are we with respect to the 12 assets, 12 stressed accounts at the NCLT? And what would be the next step forward now from here?
Individual banks have taken up. We don't have the picture as to which are the cases. I think most of them would be over within the first 10 days of July. All of them should be filed.
And finally, Mr. Kanan, this is sort of more of a up-in-the-air kind of a question, but one that everybody's got on their mind. What are the initial feelers looking like? Are there a lot of buyers that are showing interest? Because we've been hearing a lot of names, whether it's funds, whether it's rival companies, particularly for steel players, for instance. So what sense do you have that we won't have to look at an actual asset stripping where equity becomes zero? Are we looking at that scenario for any of the 12?
I don't visualize any asset stripping as of now. I think most of the bankers are quite gung-ho that within the next 6 months, most of the assets will be, a resolution will be found. Maybe in a couple of cases, it might transpire that some asset stripping or sale of certain unwanted assets could be done. We'll have to wait and watch. This is the first experience we are all having in such large cases. Let's wait and watch and see how it turns out.
Okay, Mr. Kanan, thank you very much for